thank you so much for joining this webinar. I think it's a great webinar when we will show with our guest, Victoria. Victoria will explain how to do advanced API usage, like customization of this, what we provide you in the interface. So how to create the content on scale. And that will be mainly about that. Of course, they will be recording because you always ask about the recordings. I will try to send the recordings today or early tomorrow. So let's start. And very important, if you have any question, just ask during the Victoria presentation, and we will reply on those questions if they are still valid on the end of the Victoria presentation. Yes. So today, this is our agenda. We are already after the welcome. So the Victoria will tell a little bit about herself and then how she's scaling the content for her customers. And then we have a few minutes for the Q&A. So Victoria, if you can, please share your screen. Please let people know who you are, and let's start it.
Hi, everyone. I can now see myself. That's great. Thank you, Pavel, for for this intro. I'm very excited to be here today. And I'm going to start sharing my screen if I remember how. And hopefully I remember. So let's try. Funny because we did a tech check before, and maybe I didn't learn enough.
Okay, it's top bottom on the left side. It's a plus sign there, and then you have a drop down menu there.
Yes, now I remember. It's a very small button. It is a very small button. Anyway,
Just a plus. So
let's start. Cool. I guess everybody is seeing my screen now. And today we have a session on automation. We're using GPT and also make.com with the NeuroWriter API. Yeah, I'll walk you through how I'm working with some clients to scale content and also to scale content without losing quality, which is the important thing with AI, because anyone can create AI content. And generally that AI content starts with in the everlasting world of cryptocurrencies. And we don't want that kind of crap. We want quality content that talks about the brand of the client, that has knowledge of the client, that is SEO optimized, and that is easy to produce. My name is Victoria, and I have been working in marketing for almost 20 years now, and in SEO for about 10. I'm a conference speaker. I have also been featuring the book SEO in 2024 and SEO in 2025, where I started talking about these systems and methods to scale content with AI. And I'm also a mentor at Outliers Ventures, European at the European, yes, as well. I'm European, Argentinian, and British, in case you wanted to know. But what I wanted to say is that I'm a mentor at Outliers Ventures, which is a Web3 incubator, and also I'm a judge at the European Search Awards. That's what I wanted to tell you. Anyway, and last year was nominated for the best SEO in Europe. And I'm telling you this because you should trust me. That's why. Now, I have been working in tech and crypto companies since 2017. Most of my clients are in crypto and in Web3. And you might not know any of them, but Barclays, which is a bank in the UK. My first job here in the UK was at Barclays. And the rest of these clients are for crypto nerds. Maybe Polkadot is very well known. If you have ever bought Polkadot, it's a big brand. Let's go. Now, today we will going to tackle the 4 main issues that people complain about of AI content. First, everybody complains that it sounds robotic, as I said before, in the ever-changing world of cryptocurrencies, right? Most ChatGPT content sounds like that. Then it's detectable. It's detectable by readers, because we know that everything that begins with in, every sentence that begins with in tends to be written by AI. And also it's detected by AI detectors, which SEO people generally are obsessed about this, even though they are not very accurate most of the time. The third one is frequent hallucinations, right? If we're writing content about a client, we want the AI to know about the client, right? Today, I'm going to show some examples for a client that does crypto loans, and I want my systems to write from the client's perspective, not about crypto loans in general, right? And then the fourth one is that it's hard to produce quality content and scale, right? And I'm going to show you how I tackle this using a combination of custom GPTs, make.com, and both of them using the NeuroWriter API, which I have been NeuroWriter user for 2.5 years, I think, or more. I have the lifetime subscription, and I really like the tool. But there was some things that I thought that were missing. I'm going to show you today what was my way to fix it. Not to fix it, but to make it more friendly for the teams I work with. Now, we have 141 participants in the call. I guess that everybody uses ChatGPT. If you are not using ChatGPT, let me know in the chat. Actually, I don't even know if I have access to the chat. So it's a funny interaction, isn't it? I don't have access to the chat. So I'm going to make these questions and they're going to be rhetoric. So I guess you all use ChatGPT. I guess that maybe 5% of you use custom GPTs up to a certain degree. And I guess that maybe 1% of you use automation workflows. And these are the numbers that I made up for you today. So raise your hands in silence if that's any of you. Let's go. You know that everyone on LinkedIn, Twitter, every marketer is talking about AI agents. And I feel that they skip like the most basic agents, which is custom GPTs, right? Custom GPTs exist inside the ChatGPT when you have the Plus subscription, and they allow you to train your own bots. And this is the easiest way for me, easiest and fastest to test your prompts, validate your use cases, define bots that can talk with the tone of voice, brand voice, and the structure that client needs. And for me, it's also the easiest way to prototype functionality before I do automations. And basically, custom GPTs are like AI assistants, right? AI bots that you configure with your own content, your guidelines, your brand voice. When I say your own content, I think it's the main part, the most vital part of custom GPTs and where they can make a huge difference in the way that you produce content. Because you train a custom GPT with your content or the client's content, and that could be the whole website. You could download the website and put it in the database. You can upload PDF about personas, different markets, strategy. You can also upload content guidelines, how each author that works in the organization writes. So that will make us maintain technical accuracy and terminology. And basically, you can create these bots that for marketing or for whatever other purpose. I'm going to show you other purposes as well because I use them for everything. And this can assist in drafting across many formats: articles, YouTube transcripts, social posts, FAQs, emails, everything. And I use this for everything, and it has been a life change. It's changing. Now, if you have never created a custom GPT, I'm going to show you how to do it today. Here we have 1 million of the custom GPTs that I use. And if we go to GPTs, you can access the library, this sort of GPT store, and you can use any of these publicly available GPTs. Some of them are excellent, some of them not so much, but you can use them without having the subscription. But if you want to create your own, and this is where the magic happens, if you don't have the Plus subscription, the $20 subscription, you are definitely missing out. Yeah, this is where you can create your own. And creating your own is pretty easy. We give it a name, description, some instructions, and we can upload our files. And this is the main part. This is the key part where we upload all of the materials that we need for this GPT to run. So I'm going to show you one that I have for me. I have 60 for me, but I'm going to show you a simple one, which is Victoria's LinkedIn. So if I go to this one, we see that it has the name, the description, and a prompt, an extensive prompt that tells the ChatGPT who am I and what is the task. Who am I? What does it want? What is the objective? What is the task? And how I want the task to be carried out. As you can see here, I have uploaded some documents which are referenced in the knowledge base. So here I have uploaded many of my presentations, and this one is pretty important. I downloaded the best templates for LinkedIn. There's an influencer called Jake Ward that once posted best formats for LinkedIn. I downloaded this knowledge base, has a lot of information about me, who am I, and about the best formats for LinkedIn. So if we go to the prompt, we're going to see all of who am I, all of the guidelines, the tone, use this document, and which is where all of the best formats for LinkedIn posts are. And then I also gave it some instructions for hooks, and I have told it to avoid using those annoying words that give it away that you're using AI, which are these. Actually, you should copy this one. If you don't have this prompt, make a screenshot right now, which is how you're gonna avoid sounding like AI, right? Literally everything that works that starts in. Great. And then UK English, because that's where I am at the moment. And I have allowed web search, Canva, image generation, I allow all of this. And then we have actions here, which is something that I'm going to show later on. But in actions, what we can do is to create code. We can add code inside of Custom GPT. And that is very powerful because it means we can connect it to other sources of data. And these two things, having a very robust knowledge base and to connect it to actual data, is going to reduce hallucinations a lot. I would say maybe 80 to 90%. And also, what else I did? Oh, I have the conversation starter. And if I click on this, great. Great, it's not working for this presentation, but let me go back and maybe it works. That'd be fantastic if it works while we are testing this out. Now, let me show you very quickly what we're going to do. We're going to say, I'm going to copy and paste this, and this will be the base for my, and what you saw in that little glitch is that it referenced the database. It referenced the files that I gave it. So it's going to reference Jake Ward's template, and it's going to tell me why it picked this up. And now we have a nice LinkedIn post, right? It used to take me like 30 minutes to write this. I'm not proud of the time it took me to write, but now I'm quite proud of myself that I could do a month of LinkedIn posts in an hour. So I generally, whenever I see something interesting, something that sparks some thoughts about AI and SEO, I save it on my notes. And then once a month, I do all of these posts for LinkedIn, which is very fast and it has saved me a lot of time. Now, let's go back to our presentation. And I know that a lot of you are going to say, I get the same results using ChatGPT with long context, right? Long context is when we reference the same chat all the time. For example, if I wanted to write my LinkedIn post and I write every single LinkedIn post in a normal chat instead of using a custom GPT, that chat will have more context, right? Now, the main difference is persistent instructions. Generally, you have to repeat instructions more often with the long context than with the custom GPTs, because custom GPTs has already been trained for something. And generally, you train it for one thing. So it's the only thing it has to do. And we also have a knowledge base, right? So all of the files that we upload are retrieved every time that the custom GPT needs to retrieve an answer, right? Now, when we upload, let's say if I upload a PDF for my long context LinkedIn chat, it will only remember it per session. So if you upload a file to the normal GPT, it will not remember the next time we talk to it, right? then evidently custom GPTs are going to be much more consistent because they have been trained to do. And for me, the main key is I share a custom GPTs with clients. So you can send them a link and it's ready to go. Nobody needs to do anything. Nobody needs to train anything. If you are doing the chat with long context, evidently not everyone will have the same conversation. So it's not reusable. Again, setup time, you set it up once and that's most of it. This needs much more hand-holding. You can control the brand. You can also, as I said, collaborate with other people because you're going to share the link with them. And I think it's best for content ops, marketing teams. And it's also great when you have a defined task that always needs the same instructions, right? It's very common in SEO and in marketing to have SOPs, to have processes, to have clear guidelines that some people give to their employees or to the VAs. And now those guidelines can serve to train these custom GPTs. So 100%, if you have the $20 subscription, start experimenting with custom GPTs, because it's much better than the chat with long context, and it will save you a lot of time. Now, some other people are thinking, if you are using Claude, probably you're thinking, why cannot use a Claude project? And Claude projects are indeed very similar. They are supposed to do the same thing, but you cannot share them. So if I cannot share it, I imagine if I'm dealing with clients with custom GPTs, I send them the link and that's it. And they use it. With a Claude project, they would have to train the project themselves. Now, if we have a team of more than 2 people, that will become messy very fast, right? Also, one other thing that for me is particularly annoying is that Claude runs out of memory very fast. And ChatGPT doesn't. In Claude, I have to interrupt the task pretty often, because if you upload the document that is more than 20 pages, Claude tells you that you need to start a new chat, and I don't like that. I like Claude I think that the Claude writes better than ChatGPT, but it has limitations that makes me don't like it so much. Yeah, similar, but I would say custom GPT is better because you can share them and they have better memory. Not better memory, more capacity. That's why I use custom GPTs. Now, I use custom GPTs as a second brain for everything, not just for SEO and for marketing. As I said before, I have 60 of them mine, and then I collect when I see anything useful. So I have a library of everything. I have Choose the Right YouTube scripts, subscribe to my channel, promo. I have a webinar generator, ebook generator. These two are very good. But I want to say I didn't generate the slides with the webinar generator. I found it later. I have one for Twitter, one for LinkedIn, which I have just showed you, one for shorts. Everything I do AI assisted. There's nothing in this brain. Everything is AI. Yeah, you can use it for anything, not just for work. Whatever saves you time, whatever has clearly defined instructions and guidelines, train a custom GPT and it will be much better and much faster for you. So how do I use this? What is the basics for custom GPTs and then automation? First of all, we need a good prompt. And prompts, if you don't know how to prompt, learn. Because AI is here to stay, and the basic is prompting, whether it's for a custom GPT or for a automation. Not all custom GPTs can turn into automations, but sometimes when we have a repeatable, very defined steps, we can do that. And I'm going to show you today with some clients what I'm doing on the automation space. So first, good prompt. Then that good prompt, we turn it into a custom GPT. And then we scale with automation. As I said before, custom GPTs can be connected to APIs. And I know that people are losing their minds with MCPs. They have been losing their minds for 3 months, 6 months with MCPs. But custom GPTs have been around for a year and a half, and you can do, I would say, mostly the same thing. And I would say that APIs for me are much easier to connect and to create than MCPs. Now, one thing that is key here is that one can talk to the other. So I told you I had 60 GPTs. I can call them in the chat by pressing add. And I'm going to show you this later today. So instead of copying and pasting from one to the other, I can call each GPT like if it was a conversation. And that is going to make you save a lot of time. By the way, this feature, sometimes it disappears. It generally disappears when I need to demo things with clients, which is hilarious. So if you don't see it, try tomorrow. Actually, when I talked to Powell about this webinar, the first time we met, that functionality was not available. There are glitches, but if you have it right now, use it, you press add, and you can connect them one to the other. Also, you can be as general or as specific that you like. You can create a marketing GPT that knows about everything, or you can create that SEO copywriter, which has a very distinct task. And that's also how I do it. And I'm going to show you now. APIs. And this is probably the most important thing that I'm going to show you today. If you can connect APIs, you can connect to real data. Real data could be, for example, the weather right now. I could make a custom GPT with about the weather. But in the case of SEO, we can connect it to a SEO tool. For example, we're going to see today extensive cases of the NeuroWriter API. And I'm also going to show you the keyword research assistant that I created, which uses the Keywords Everywhere API. Obviously, if you're using an API, many times you need a subscription, right? In the case of all of the NeuroWriter use cases that I'm going to show you today, you need the gold subscription. And I think it's absolutely worth it. And just get it because it's a great tool. So let me show you. Actually, I'm going to show you the keyword research assistant and then the NeuroWriter assistant. And this is how I generally work with clients. And I think that a lot of us do. Let me show you. So let's go here. And this is connected to the Keywords Everywhere API. And let's say, help me with keyword research. So now it's going to ask me, because I train it this way, to ask about the parameters that the API needs, right? So let's say one, it's Bitcoin loans, because I have a client in that space. Then we need Google, Bitcoin loans, Google, USD, US is the country, USD, because it's going to bring keyword data. And the intent is, let's say, commercial investigation. Commercial investigation, it's a landing page. What we're going to see is going to talk to the connector, right? It's going to talk to in this case, to the Keywords Everywhere API. What we see is scanning the SERP right now. And it's not, unlike ChatGPT, it's not hallucinating the data. And what I want is, I need volume. So it connects to the API again. And now we have a mini keyword research of 5 keywords. I did it this way of 5 keywords because this is a tool that I give content writers. And I know that content writers don't like data very much. If I tell them, okay, go into SEMrush or Ahrefs and do a keyword research, people panic and they don't like you anymore. To have conversational data, to talk to the SEO data, I think it has been a huge change. Has been, how do we say this in English? It's a great moment to stop speaking in English in the middle of the webinar. I think that in English you say life-changing, game-changing. That's the word that I was looking. It has been a game changer because now all of the content teams that I work with like working with me because I give them tools that they like and understand. If I tell them go to Ahrefs, they're going to hate me. So here we have our conversational keyword research, which for a quick thing is pretty good. And also you can do the opposite. You can say, look for a keyword. Imagine I can have existing text. Let's say, imagine I'm copy and paste this. I can say, do the opposite with based on this text. Give me a text keyword. So many times as SEO people, we know that people call us late after they finish the landing page and not before, and then we have to start fixing things. So you can do that quickly. You give it the text and it can do it backwards. So in this case, okay, maybe NeuroWriter, my page is all about NeuroWriter, but we can say, okay, custom GPT for content creation, and we can continue talking if it was a conversation more on AI content creation. And we can continue talking about keywords and AI forever until late hours of night. So now we are iterating, and it gives me SEO title. It's a nice conversation about SEO, which generally nobody wants to have except for other SEO people, right? So I think this was the first one I trained, and I use it until today, and it's pretty good. So if you want this one right now, I'm going to put this QR code on screen. And if you subscribe to my newsletter, I'll send you the instructions of this immediately. I'm going to wait 10, 15 seconds for people to do it. You're going to see the top bar of my website with the subscribe button. And yeah, and now I'm going to continue working for you. Here we said we were talking about Bitcoin loans, right? So let me show you how I generally work with clients. So this is my keyword. We know that it's Bitcoin loans. Great. So imagine I want to structure this page using NeuroWriter, doing the correlational analysis, checking what are the top keywords from on the SERP engine result from position 1 to 10. And let me see. Ideally, it works. Let me see if I can call yes. So this is my SEO content assistant, and it connects to the NeuroWriter API. So instead of copying and pasting all of this into the chat, into the new one, which I could do if I open it, I can call it inside this chat to make everything more smooth, and it makes me look better. So let's say I need a content brief for Bitcoin loans. And now it's going to connect to the NeuroWriter API, and it's going to start using AI for us. So we can give instructions here, and everything that we do is going to reflect on our NeuroWriter dashboard. So what I'm going to do is my client is this one. So I need .com, I think English. We said this was a commercial language. Now, the fact that it has to connect to the API every time is a bit annoying, I know. Yeah, it's the only thing annoying about this process. It's more annoying to do it manually, right? So right now, if you are a NeuroWriter user, you know that the moment that we do a query, that we set up a query, we need to wait around 90 seconds, 2 minutes, for it to load all the data. So while we do that, what I'm going to show you is, for example, here, look, you see, it's created the query. No hands, magic, right? So we're using it from a custom GPT. So don't get so excited about MCPs. You can do it with a custom GPT as well. So one thing that sometimes I struggle with, actually I don't struggle with this, but content people struggle with this. And I have to create new methods and new systems for them to want to do the SEO work, right? So I love NeuroWriter. I think it's a really good tool. But when you have a person that has never used NeuroWriter before, they come here and they will get a bit overwhelmed, right? Because they see all of these things that they have to do. All of the keywords and the headings, and it could be a lot for a person that is not used to, that is new to the software, and that is not used to dealing with numbers and things like that, right? So this system basically avoids you using the interface. Let's see if it's retrieve recommendation. So recommendations. This is not how you write retrieve. Retrieve. Let's see if we can get it. And now we are seeing all the data that is present in your writer here. And again, it's a nice way to chat to the data. It's less intimidating. It's more friendly. Anyone can do it. Something like that. Now we have my content brief. with extended terms. Also here I have the competitor, top questions to ask. And you can also, it also sends you the link to the preview, but we don't have anything yet because we haven't written anything. Now, great. This is like the SEO process optimized, right? Generally, we all do keyword research and then we structure the page and then we give it to a content writer. Now, in my industry, in Web3 and crypto, it's really hard to get writers. There are very few writers because a lot of people don't, I don't know, if they don't want to learn about crypto or it's a very obscure space, but it's very rare and they're very expensive. At some point, I started asking myself if I could create content that had the quality of a writer. Now, most of the clients I work with, we mostly do landing pages. So it's not like you have to be a Pulitzer winner or someone really advanced to write landing pages, but you do need to understand the technology, right? We cannot write about something we don't understand. So this is where the knowledge base comes. The knowledge base or marketer is a GPT that the only purpose is to store all of the client's data and give you marketing advice. Because it stores all of the client's data, it knows the client, right? Because if I ask normal GPT to write about Bitcoin loans, it will write about Bitcoin loans in general. But my client is Meso, not any of these ones, right? I don't want the GPT to write like any of these ones or to write about Bitcoin loans in general. I want it to write like my client would. So now I am going to call my Meso marketer. And again, I'm going to show you a bit of this. So here I can use it independently, right? But if I go to the database, you're going to see content creation parameters, all the keywords it cannot ask, it cannot use. And it also references I have some files for it to reference. Therefore, it knows a lot about my client. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Meso Marketer and I'm going to say, read the instructions before, before. Just pretend I'm speaking English right now and create a landing page or searching the knowledge base. Now you're going to see that it mentions MSUD, which is a stable coin within the Meso ecosystem. It's referencing the APR of these loans. It's referencing the actual process. It's not generic content anymore. It's SEO optimized on-brand content. Look, it also made a comparison with two competitors, common questions, and the CPAs. It also provides the title, meta description, and I think this is pretty cool, isn't it? So let's say now I can call again my SEO content assistant and say, import this content and give me a score. So again, it will take that content and put it into NeuroWriter without us doing it. So it's important that we say import instead of evaluate because evaluate doesn't work very well in this one. So it has to import it and then it will give us the score, which is, so here we are on 0, right? And what we want to see is this. Let's see for our page. There it works. Yeah. Okay. So we authorize the API and now it tells me it's 33. I know why, because you know what? I forgot to tell it. It didn't import the title and meta description. So let's do it again and say, generally you have to say including title and meta description. I will say import the title and meta description. Anyway, beyond this, something pretty cool is that it gives you suggestions to improve the score. Which keywords to use, expanding the length of the content. Let's see if it does it. It shouldn't be 33, it should be great. It's not working. These things always happen when you have to show something. When you have to impress people, why do these things happen when you have to impress people? So let's see if we can, oh, no, it did it. If not letting myself be embarrassed in front of you, in front of the 148 people that are in the call. So now we have here's the title, boom, 53. And again, we can tell it to implement the recommendations to continue improving the score. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good process, right? So in 10 minutes or less, we can have a pretty solid page. The SEO-Optimized talks about like the client, its own brand, and it's everything you ever wanted and needed in SEO and content. Now, for the last trick, I'm going to show you something. In case if you're not impressed enough. So in this company, there are 2 writers. So if I want to turn this is a landing page, but let's imagine that I want this to be repurposed as a post. Let's turn the content above into an informational blog post, right? Like Joey. So if you see, this is not generic GPT anymore. This is not in the ever-changing world of cryptocurrencies. This is writing like one of the main writers from Meso. And I think it's pretty cool. So now imagine we don't want this to be written by it. So imagine we want it to be written by the other writer, which is more academic, more philosophical. Let's rewrite. All right, cool. And you're going to see very clear differences in style. So much longer paragraphs. The language it uses is a bit more refined, monetary sovereignty, fiat model, inelastic credit, involuntary liquidity, because they write very differently. So now we have a content team. Now I'm not Victoria anymore. I am 5 people. Here we have the CTR, the CTAs, and all of these things. So that is what you can do when you connect the real data, the NeuroWriter API into the NeuroWriter API into the GPT as a custom GPT. It writes with the actual data, it does a correlation analysis, and if we combine this with the marketing brain, that's where the magic happens. I think that AI is about orchestration. It's about tools that talk to each other, not just SEO and then content. How do they combine? So how I generally approach this is I would have a marketing brain that is the one that has all of the knowledge of the client. Then I have the keyword research assistant that connects to the Keywords Everywhere API. I have the content assistant that connects to the NeuroWriter API. Remember, you need the Gold subscription for this. And for this one, you also need subscription. And then you can have a writing style like Vice or Joey. And other ones that I use or that I produce for clients are LinkedIn, Twitter, Medium sometimes, anything that they need help with. That's how I do it. As I said before, obviously, in order to do this properly, I mean, it looks good because I spend hours on prompts. So I would highly suggest that you do the same. Now, there are many ways of creating prompts, and I'm aware that this is not a webinar about prompting, but ideally you know how to do it, or you can use this GPT from the GPT store. It works okay. It's good for quick prompts. None of these things will work without good prompts. Now, there is this clear framework for prompts where you tell it the context, you specify context, length, examples, audience, and role, and it will help you to define your custom GPTs, right? So here for content creation, we can say you are an SEO copywriter, you are a product manager for Ethereum, whatever. And if we complete these variables, we're going to have a prompt that is much better than generic AI one-line request. And some things that have helped me a lot to write prompts is these components that are on screen. Roles tell it to adopt the personality of an SEO consultant, product manager, or whoever. It's really important. Also, to explain, most of my prompts have a series of instructions. First do this, then do this, then do that. Step by step, what they need to do. This one might seem crazy, but it's true. If you tell AI, you are the best copywriter, you need to help me because otherwise I will fire you, or because I will get fired. If you put some emotion, some drama into the prompt, it works better. And also, if you increase variables, and one of the most important things is like when you have prompts like me that are really long, ChatGPT sometimes it forget. It's called lost in the middle. So you might need to add the same instructions in at the end of it. For example, you can say important. Don't forget at the end of it in writing UK English, or don't forget to never use emojis. Important, and that makes it remember things faster. So I use all of these. I use them, are really important, and you're gonna you're gonna save some time if you learn to prompt correctly. Now, how do I go with the training process? Again, clear instructions. We need to learn how to prompt. That's why there is a clear framework slide here. Add content is really important for me. Most of my custom GPTs have material that they can reference, PDF, Markdown documents, Google Docs, everything is on the database. Also, how do you want the response to be written in terms of structure, length? And then we can refine. As you saw when I was creating my first GPT, we have a testing area, and I tested there until I get the result that I want, and then we can save it and share. Remember that sharing is caring, and this is what gives custom GPTs a clear advantage over Claude and long context chats. Sometimes it's easier to imagine I wanted to copy a writer's style from The Guardian. Rachel Healy from The Guardian, which is one of my favorite journalists from The Guardian. Why do I have a favorite journalist at The Guardian? Because I'm a nerd. Evidently, I wouldn't have done all of these things if I wasn't. So let's say I wanted to copy Rachel. I would take 10 of her articles with her permission. I don't mean to do anything that would hurt Rachel. Now, I would take 5 articles, 10 articles, and tell ChatGPT, imitate the style of this writer, or give me the prompt that will allow me to imitate the style of this writer. And it will give you a writing brief. And that is easier than actually going through the clear framework, right? So we just give it all of the material and we do it backward. Let's say, analyze these examples, and you give me the prompt, right? So that is a quick tip for this. Now, I have been using this model with many clients, and I have the case study of Pando, which is a crypto payment company. And we built 120 landing pages in 2 months using these systems. And also, everyone in the organization have their own custom GPT, not just for SEO. As I said before, you can use it for everything. And then they have a sister brand, which is called Espacio Crypto, which is the most popular podcast about crypto in Latin America. So for that brand, we also created these custom GPTs, but also a make.com automation. And this is where things get really interesting. And this is where scaling goes to another level. Because this is what happened with this client. They were having they never paid attention to SEO, so very few clicks per day. And when we started using the automation, this happened, right? A very clear path from here. We started working in April. So from March to April, we have a 33x. So they went from 300 organic clicks per month to 1,700. So huge increase in traffic. And let me show you how this works. Now, we said before that the process was the following. We have a keyword. That keyword goes to NeuroWriter, where we do the correlation and analysis, the structure of the page. Then that content gets filled by the client's data, by the client knowledge base, or by the client writing style. And then I think that's it. That is the process. Keyword research, NeuroWriter, and then reference the client, right? So there's a couple of steps there. And I have showed you how to do it inside the chat of ChatGPT, which is really convenient. But I'm going to show you something that is even more practical. So let me show you. If I go to make.com, I'm going to show you this one, which is for, right? So I have this spreadsheet, and this spreadsheet triggers the automation. So it means that instead of talking to ChatGPT, I can just put all my list of keywords here, and I fill it with the country, the engine, notes, angles that the writers of the company might have. And then it will give me the link. It will produce the content, give me the link for my Google Doc, give me the score, and here's the date created. So this is the article written by my automation in the voice of one of the writers, following all SEO guidelines on brand. And it doesn't sound like AI. It's actually, it doesn't sound, let's analyze the first paragraph, the first sentence. The system is rigged against you. That's not how AI writes. That's how one of the writers that I created writes. So yeah, without too long to read, and then it starts. And let me show you the automation. Let me walk you through this automation. So here, the moment that a new keyword is added, it will actually, why don't we run it now? This is picking up let's do another one. Let's say best, no Bitcoin interest, Bitcoin loans interest rates, best Bitcoin loans interest rates. We're going to copy all of these for mine. Sorry, it's not, because this comes with the automation. Present as the best option. Use tables to compare the best options. Use tables to compare others. Good. And let's try to do this one live, knowing the risks that there is when you test something live. And let's hope for the best. So I'm going to turn this on. And what you're going to see is that it goes to my spreadsheet. It's telling me that it's processing. And it will list the projects on NeuroWriter. It will create a new query, and we can see the NeuroWriter here. We go back. That is creating this one. What else? So then it will get the query information. I added a sleep module because remember we need to wait 90 seconds, 2 minutes for 2 minutes. I set it up for the analysis to happen. Then it will get all of the query information, and it will write the title, a meta description. Then we insert another sleep tool because sometimes when you use the OpenAI modules, it gets a bit overwhelmed. And then it will write the body, right? This body is then, it's written in Markdown. So then I need to reformat it from Markdown, and it goes to, I import the content again, so it gives me the score. And then it creates a document on Google Docs. And then it will give me I update the sheet, and I say that the process is completed. I put the date, and I put the link to the Google Doc. Now, something important to consider is that, again, I'm not talking to normal GPT, to the ChatGPT that doesn't know me. I'm talking to an assistant. And I don't know if you have ever created an OpenAI assistant, but one of the drawbacks of custom GPTs is that you cannot connect it to via API. So because we cannot connect it via API, I need to check let's do the Google Authenticator. Because we cannot connect it by API, we need to find a way to do it. So the way to do it is to duplicate the custom GPT of your marketing brain, that GPT that knows everything about the client. I recreated as a OpenAI assistant. And the only difference between one and the other is that the OpenAI assistants can be connected by API. Therefore, it can be connected to make.com. Why did they do this instead of having custom GPTs, giving API access to custom GPTs? I have no idea. But we have to duplicate our marketing brain if we're using as a custom GPT and then as an automation. Give me 1 second. I'm going to show you how this looks like. I'm on OpenAI. OpenAI. See? Oh, it went wrong. No. See? Boom. Good. So what you can see is that I have this is the same training as what I have on my custom GPT. Here we have all of the files, and it's calling it for this automation, right? Yeah, it's not talking to generic GPT, it's talking to my Meso Marketer GPT, and it has a style that is very well defined that makes it undetectable for people people cannot detect this AI, and AI detectors cannot detect this AI either. So if we do this, and I go to, let's say, Quillbot, allow, we're going to see 0% AI. Magic is this. Cool. And now we have our, now we have our draft. It's score 72. We have, again, very well written article that will compare Meso to its main competitors. And it's telling us that Meso is already the best, as I said, on our instructions here that are taken into consideration for this article to happen. And here is the table I asked it to include. Obviously, this needs to be formatted. This needs to still be checked by the writers, but I think it's a very, very good start. I also, after all of these, I include all of the SEO instructions, like the content brief. It will tell you how many words to use, what were the terms used in the title, meta description, H1, and all of the data that NeuroWriter gives you. Here are the competitors. It looks a bit messy because it's in an array, but I'll check that later. But I think it's pretty compelling. Now, this is just blog content, but I'm going to show you probably one of the most powerful I have done to date, which is for a client, which is a retailer, e-commerce retailer. They're on Shopify, and they have 4 different types of content. One is the category. Category is generic. Category is, for example, vegan chocolate is a generic category. But you also have brand categories. For example, this one, it's Ethic. Ethic is a brand. So it's written differently than from categories. We have products and we have blogs, right? These are 4 different types of content that this client needs to produce. So we have a very similar spreadsheet to the one that we saw for Mesto, but this is at a level of automation because we need to have a set of instructions per content type. So I'm going to show you this, and this is the last thing I'm going to show you today. We have, where is the automation? Here. So things are a bit more complicated here, but the process is fundamentally the same. It takes the spreadsheet and it lists the projects, creates a new query, gets the query information. And then what I have done here is import the content because all of these pages exist. So if I import the content, I have more context for my GPT to write. So I'll do that. And I also want to know the original score here. You can see here, I can see the original score versus the new score, right? And it's always higher in all of these cases. As you can see, it's always higher, right? And here's the link to each of these. So we can see, again, it's written within the client's voice and with a particular structure, free shipping, frequently asked questions, everything. So where was I? I was here. Now it imports the content so it can work on that content rather than start writing from scratch. And I have a title, meta description, then goes to sleep a bit so it doesn't get overwhelmed. And I have a set of instructions per each of the content types that I have showed you. Besides that, I have compliance because it's the company that sells supplements and health products in Australia, and there are very stringent laws about what you can say and what you cannot say. So we rewrite, we have the content, and then we do a compliance check. All of the regulations from Australia are in this agent or assistant, and then it goes to the it goes from Markdown. We reformat it, we import it, so we get the new score, and then we update everything. Also, this looks really maybe a bit overwhelming because this has error handling. However, you say that in English, error handling, meaning that if there's an error, it will tell you on the spreadsheet that what happened and it will start again. So that's why every module has these sort of branches that go. So all of this tells you on the spreadsheet in real time if something went wrong, right? So because this is for a client, obviously it has to be 100%. And that's why it looks more complicated. And it was indeed more complicated to get. So now in 3 minutes, this client has content that is on brand, SEO compliant to the regulations in Australia for supplements and health products, and it's ready for their writers to show. Now, this is underlined because everything that is underlined are the fragments that the compliant module changed. So that is compliance within these regulations in Australia. Yeah. 3 minutes. I think it's good for 3 minutes what this can do. Now, to close this, I know this has been a lot, but if you have to decide whether to use a custom GPT or an automation, if the piece of content needs a lot of input, a lot of back and forth, use the custom GPT. If it's something that you can structure very well, it has more chances that it become an automation. But if it needs a lot of back and forth, go for the ChatGPT route. So now we have sorted all of the main issues with AI content. Now we have content that doesn't sound robotic, that is not detectable, that it hallucinate way less, 90% less, and that is not hard to scale while keeping quality in mind. So your brand is fire and SEO automation is gasoline. If you want to subscribe to my newsletter again and get the instructions to train your keyword research GPT, remember you need the Keywords Everywhere subscription, which is I think $70 a year, something like that, quite cheap. Yeah, scan my code and you can get that for free. And also you can buy the prompts to train your NeuroWriter GPT and the automations, the blog automations I have showed today. If you buy everything, there is a 20% discount. And if you need really custom work, I'm available as well. I know this has been a lot. I'll keep this to show. Yeah, do we have any questions? I cannot hear you, Pavel. Are you on mute? I think you're on mute.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So thank you so much, Victoria, for a great webinar. I hope we learn a lot. I learn a lot myself as well. We have a few questions here. So first one is from Ram. He would like to know a little bit more about the humanization, how you do it and how far you go and so on. And maybe also if this is still important when we know that anyway, Google index very well the AI content. So how do you approach to the AI humanization?
Yeah, so beyond the fact that Google index it or not, you want to write content that is appealing to humans, right? And I think that you can do that perfectly well with the system that I have showed before. Now, most of the companies I work for have a team of writers that have a lot of work and that they cannot keep up with. How we generally do it is we take samples from the writers and we tell ChatGPT to tell us how do they write. So we supply the samples and say, actually, I said it here on the tips that you can tell ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, analyze these samples, match the style, structure, and level of detail. That's how we do it. Because most brands have somebody that writes for them. So we try to copy that style. You can also create a synthetic style. It happened to me that you want to take a sample from the best samples. We don't want mediocre samples. It happened to me with a client that I requested, okay, I need samples for every type of content you have. And those samples were not good. So we had to create one. Let's call it a synthetic style. That is good. If you had to do this for a company, let's say that you have the 5 most popular blog posts or the 5 best converting blog posts, I would take the style from there, from the best possible samples. We talk about AI and those AI biases all the time. Why do AI say that women should ask for less money on a job interview? Because the data that AI is trained is a bit crap. It's a reflection of the world. So we don't want a reflection of what exists. We want the best possible samples and the best possible data to copy. I think that replies to the question.
Yeah. So it's an approach which is more at the quality level than just bypassing the AI detectors. It's real content which, let's say, modulate or emulate somehow the real human. So that's the answer. Okay. Do you use any other keywords, resources than Keywords Everywhere? Because here people are asking for using the API from Ahrefs, data for SEO, so on. So what are your feedback about that?
So the API, to use the API of Ahrefs, I think you have to be on the highest plan. It's $600 per month, and Keywords Everywhere is $6 per month. You can definitely connect Ahrefs API, and Ahrefs also has an MCP. Remember, MCPs do something really similar to this. And I have been using an MCP with the SEO data for SEO. Data for SEO. I started using it last week. Both of them. Whatever tool that has data that you want to plug, you can connect it to an API. Obviously, Ahrefs has hundreds of variables, and Keywords Everywhere, I think, has 6. So the more variables that you have, the harder it is. Also, I'm not a coder. I'm just somebody curious on the lab trying to figure out things. So maybe if you know about development, it will be way easier. I'm just lazy. I want to do things fast, effortlessly. I want to maximize happiness and minimize pain. And AI is the way to do it, even if you are not a coder. I think that's the beautiful thing, that I could create this. You are a coder, Powell. You created this whole system. I have no idea. I don't know JavaScript. I barely know HTML. And somehow I managed to create something that is functional and that I'm using to work with clients. So that is the best thing about AI, that if you're curious and persistent, you can create these micro SaaS solutions.
Yeah, on the end, it doesn't matter how, but it doesn't matter what is the output. And if the output is useful for you, and the customer and so on. Okay, so next question. Rick is asking, how do you do the internal linking? Or if you do the internal linking, what about the internal linking in this process?
Yes, so most of these don't have internal linking built in. You can do it if you have, I would do it, that in the Ecommerce Automation, we have another module at the end that does compliance. I would add another module at the end that does internal linking, and you submit the sitemap, and you can do it. You can insert the links using the sitemap. Now, the problem is, if the sitemap changes a lot, you cannot have a fixed database, right? You have to have a dynamic RAG, which is more complicated. It can be done, but it's a bit outside of the scope of this presentation. In my case, for my blog post that I also use automations, I link it to the money pages, which in my case is Web3 SEO and the AI marketing. So all blog posts will link to those because I want those pages to surface. So that is like a manual example if you want to do it. But if you want to go all the way, use the sitemap.
Yeah, here we have maybe a closing question because it's very general from Pavan. It's a long question, but I can probably make it very short. How do you see the worthwhile to invest in SEO, knowing this what and this the changes on the market? So the question is more about how and why we should invest in SEO, and how this is from your perspective. When, for example, you can create the content for less, or I will say for pennies now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do that, but I don't know if everybody can. So if you want to create content that ranks, that looks impeccable, great. You can spend 200 hours trying to do it and not spend money on an SEO consultant, or you can hire me and I will now do it for you. There is still, even if people are using Google less, people are using LLMs more. People will always search for something. And as long as we search for something, there will be space for SEO, right? So now I'm working more on LLM strategies, or not more, but together. So people want to be first on Google and first on ChatGPT. And the things that you have to do are similar to a point, right? You need to improve citations across different websites as well. And before it was more backlinks, which are also a form of citation, right? But your brand needs to be in many other places. The way I'm approaching this is also with content that is everywhere and not just on Google. And let me show you something that I use this for myself. So instead of just working on my SEO, what I'm doing on my SEO, instead of just posting blogs in my website and creating videos, and every time that video goes live, it's transcribed it's transcribed and published as a blog in my website. And at the same time, I publish it as a LinkedIn article. I publish it on LinkedIn, on Medium. I send it to my newsletter. I write and I put it on LinkedIn, and I also text the different communities, SEO and AI communities I'm part of. So it's not just about showing on Google, but you can show on YouTube, which is again the second most popular search engine. So I'm using Parasite SEO and content. And I'm showing my face, which should create trust. You should definitely trust me by now after everything you have seen. But it's a combination of things, right? It's not just written content, it's video content, which I also have an AI clone that does the video content, right? It's not me, the person that you're going to see on YouTube. Is my clone that looks better than what I look generally. It's a clone. I took the sample the last time I went to the hairdresser. It looks like me after going to the hairdresser. So it's not just ranking I have ADHD, so my conversations with me are like this. I split from one thing to the other if I'm not following slides. What I wanted to say is not a game. SEO is not a game about ranking on Google anymore. It's about ranking everywhere. And in order to rank everywhere, you need to have automation, because there's no way that you can do this manually, or at least I don't want to do this manually. Every time I send that I have a video to do this is madness. I have done it manually enough times as to decide I never want to do this ever again in my life. And that's why I created automations. Never again. I don't want to do this ever again. Yeah, actually, I'm going to show you before we leave, the clone. So yeah, SEO is important because you need to be relevant, and now you need to be relevant everywhere, not just on Google. So if you go here, you're going to see that this is my clone. And yeah, so AI for everything, guys.
Yeah, forever young.
Yeah, this is so I plan to use this clone until the age of 100. So this webinar is the last time you saw me live.
Yeah. Okay, Victoria. So could you please share the link on the chat to the resources? Because some people,
Yes.
I didn't check the QR code, but there was some questions here that the QR code is not working for everyone. So maybe if you just can share the link, it will be great.
I'm going to share it right now. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I will just check now if it's working or not. And if it's working, I will share the QR.
I have it. So if we go to my website, also, I'm going to tell you something really embarrassing. I broke the landing page just before the webinar. So this landing page looks awful, and I'm really sorry.
Okay, we have the Michael. Thank you so much, Michael. So Michael just shared the link to resources from this webinar. And there was also a question about if you will share the slides with the users.
Yes, and I can publish them now on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you Twitter. If you search for me, Victoria Olsina, and Victoria_Olsina here. And yeah, I'm gonna put it on the slides as well. Yeah. Okay, so everything failed. The landing page failed. The QR code failed.
No, the QR code is working. For some, it's not working, but it's not issue with the QR code as we see. It's just general issue with mobile or whatever.
Yeah. I'm gonna share that right now on Twitter. And yeah, I think add me there. Also, as I said before, I am on YouTube, Victoria Olsina as well. I'm on every platform as Victoria Olsina because that's my only name. And here it is. So if you find me, I think you will.
Okay. So yeah, I believe we will close on that. So please subscribe to the newsletter with Victoria. If you would like to contact with Victoria, there is a contact page on her website and so on. It was really great presentation. I will work hard now to upload this and share with everyone who would like to just use these great automations. And once again, if you have any questions to Victoria, I'm sure she's happy to answer those. And yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to send you the slides as well to you.
Okay. If you send me the slides, then I will send the link to the slides in the newsletter.
Yeah, I'll do that now.
Okay, thank you so much. So for the next question, please contact directly with Victoria. And yes, there will be a replay of this webinar. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Victoria, and have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye.